The following instructions are meant to supplement your training on Hydratight's products. Hydratight recommends that you read and understand your manuals thoroughly before operating these units. The following standard RSL maintenance demo will be done with an RSL2 hex wrench. First thing you want to do is have a secure, clean surface available for you to place your RSL parts. Tools required include the RSL wrench, Allen wrench, moly paste, hammer, punch, cleaning rags and non-abrasive cleaner, maintenance and work gloves, and other personal protection equipment, and your RSL operation and maintenance manual. Hydratight strongly recommends that manuals received with your tool be read carefully before operating any piece of equipment. Your manual includes detailed maintenance and operational instructions. For larger RSL hex drive or square drive models, you may want to use a vise to hold your tool in place. Try to protect the wrench's exterior by covering the vise grip arms. To begin with, pick up your wrench and locate the dial lock, which locks the reaction foot in this groove. Turn the dial lock to the side or unlock position and disengage the reaction foot. Next, remove the 4 main cap screws with an Allen wrench head. There are 2 on each side. Each model takes a different size of Allen wrench. The proper Allen wrenches for disassembly are supplied with the tools. To remove the hex wrench housing from the powerhead assembly, take it apart here by turning it slightly and pulling them apart. Next, take this Allen screw and remove it. When removing parts, you should lay them in the same configuration as they were removed from the housing to minimize error on reassembly of the tool. There is also a lock washer on this Allen screw. Make sure you don't lose it. With the Allen screw removed, you may now remove the housing. Now, pull this insert out and slide the hex assembly and the pall out of the pall driver. There is also a small spring on the back of the pall. Remove it and set it down. Wipe parts clean with a rag to ensure all old moly paste and particles have been removed. You want to wipe out the inside of the pall driver assembly and the inside of the bore of the housing. Make sure both sides are not worn or scratched. You also want to clean off the back area here and make sure there is no grooves there. Make sure there is no wear inside the bore. If you have excessive dirt or grit, you may have to gently wash the part with a non-abrasive solvent, but be careful not to remove the special dry film finish on the parts. Now clean out the hex insert. Check for excessive wear on the tops of the teeth or in the corner or on the flat surface. Look at the pall. The side that has been loaded on is most susceptible to wear. If it all looks good, then wipe off the inside and make sure there are no grooves inside there. If there are grooves, cut on the radius of the pall driver assembly, or if the pall driver teeth are worn irregularly, like the pall on the right, the wrench should be sent to Hydratight for evaluation. Now, before we reassemble it, we need to apply lubricant. Starting with the driver pall, apply Hydratight 503 moly paste as the standard lubricant unless otherwise approved by Hydratight, noting other lubricants can affect output torque of wrench and maintenance schedule. Take your 503 moly paste, which is available from Hydratight, and grease all the wearing or mating surfaces like the teeth on the pall and the bore of the driver. It is important that these moving parts receive ample lubricant to help reduce friction and wear. Proper use of the lubricant will also extend the life of the tool. Now assemble the pall and the hex insert together. Ensure the insert is facing the right direction by seeing that the teeth engage. Next, insert your spring in place in the little hole. Using a nut to push the spring in, slide the assembly into place and then line everything up. Now take your housings and clean them of old moly paste and then check the bore of the housing for excessive grooves. Now put a light coat of moly into the bore of the housing halves. Then take your hex insert and put a coat of moly paste around the sides and onto the surface of the pall driver. Now take your hex insert and put it into the housing. Stick the housing halves together. Take your screw with the lock washer and install that into the hole and secure it with the Allen wrench. Now assembled, hand turn the wrench hex so that the back side of the pall is locked in its uppermost position. There is a ball and spring there, and it will pop into place. Put some moly paste on the exposed area of the pall driver. Now with this assembly complete, clean your tool's exterior of any residue moly paste. Now let's check the power head and inspect the push block to make sure there is no grooves cut into it. You also want to make sure there is no oil leaking in and around this block, piston, or plug area. If there is excessive oil in this area, you would want to return your wrench to Hydratight for evaluation. You also want to make sure that the retractor pin is not broken or bent. A broken retractor pin can stop tool operation. If this retractor pin is broke off, which is flush or bent, you need to remove it. Take a hammer and with a proper sized punch, tap it out. Replace it with a new retractor pin. Put it back in and tap the new one so it is flush with the outside surface. For the RSL4, follow the RSL4 retractor pin installation sheet instructions. Another pin area to check on the power head next to the retractor pin is the roll pin, which holds your push block and retractor assembly onto the piston. The roll pin controls access to the radius surface of the piston. Occasionally, this area should be lubricated with 503 moly paste. If your push block is loose or angled differently, you will need to replace the roll pin. To do this, gently tap out the roll pin with a punch and hammer. Then pull out the bronze block and then pull off the retractor. Clean this area of old moly paste and then put some new moly paste lubricant in the radius on the top of the piston before reassembling. Then replace your retractor and bronze block, lining them up so the roll pin will fit. We use a punch to ensure that the holes line up. Then gently tap in a new roll pin using a punch as needed. When in, the roll pin should be flush on both ends. Now take your power head and using 503 moly paste, lubricate the head's push block and pin area. Now take your power head and reassemble it to the wrench hex head. There are through holes here and there are threaded holes here. The threaded holes go on the long part on top. This pin has got to fit into this slot. Turn it at an angle and push them together. Make sure it is engaged and you can't pull them apart. Put your two screws in on top. Don't tighten all the way up until you get the others started to get them in line. Turn it around and then tighten these in place. For proper torque recommendations for these bolts, look at your operating manual. Your last maintenance step is to clean your tool of the exterior moly paste. Reinstall the reaction arm and flip the dial lock to the side to lock the foot on. Dial lock must be in the locked position before using the tool. This concludes our RSL2 hex drive wrench maintenance demonstration.